Hello, how are you? Did you know that there is a simple, effective movement you can easily do right at home that really helps you to naturally control your blood sugar levels? Recent scientific research has discovered that performing this specific movement can help to significantly reduce post-meal glucose spikes by as much as 50% overall. And you don't need any equipment, don't need to go to the gym, nothing special at all. I'm going to explain what this movement is so you can start putting it into practice today. Stick around until the end, you won't want to miss this. Before we start, I want to ask if you worry about your blood sugar levels, if you live with diabetes, prediabetes, or if you want to control it for health reasons, weight loss, or quality of life. What's your relationship with blood sugar? How old are you? Write that for me down below in the comments. I'd love to see your response. If you can, take a moment to do that. And also give this video a like, it's super important to me because it shows YouTube that you like my channel, that you support it, and that you trust my content. Before I explain what you need to do, we need to review something. What role do carbohydrates play in this? Why does this spike in blood sugar happen after meals, even when you don't necessarily eat sugar? Because some people say to me, oh, I'm not eating sugar anymore. I'm not eating sweets. I'm not eating candy. I'm not eating cake. But why do I still have a glucose spike after meals? It's probably because you're eating something that quickly turns into glucose and can cause that spike. It all depends on the amount of carbohydrates you eat, the quality of the carbohydrates you consume, and also the rest of your diet at that very moment. Because depending on what you combine in that meal, you can slow down the absorption of that carbohydrate, slow down its absorption, and make it more gradual, so the spike is smaller. So, for example, if you eat a lot of white flour, white bread, white pasta, white rice, those carbohydrates that quickly turn into glucose, you'll end up having a glucose spike like this, right? Obviously, because their absorption is very fast. So it's important for you to know that this can happen more easily in people with prediabetes, with type 2 diabetes, with fatty liver. So it's important to know that these metabolic conditions can also make this issue worse. This can be a classic sign of insulin resistance, but there is something you can do right at home. And even today, you don't need to buy any equipment or have any kind of knowledge about physical exercise. You might be thinking, but I'm sedentary, I don't do anything, never. Even so, you can try something that is suitable for the vast majority of people, which is to do a specific exercise, and I'm going to tell you about it here now. And the logic behind this is that when our muscles contract, they release a biochemical signal called AMPK. This signal does something very interesting. It opens the doors of the muscle cells so that glucose can enter independently of insulin. So, it's as if they soak up that excess sugar in your bloodstream after eating, without needing insulin to act as a mediator to open the door to the cell like other cells do. When your muscles are activated, they literally suck that extra sugar out of your bloodstream and turn it into energy to be used right then and there while you're exercising. It doesn't have to be a large amount of exercise, a huge volume, or very high intensity. This can help reduce the sugar spike, the need for insulin, and keeps your metabolism active for longer. So it's as if you shut down that fat storage pathway and shift your body into a mode where it prioritizes burning energy instead. And you don't need to make an extreme effort. I'm going to explain which light exercises you can do that will have a really interesting impact on your blood sugar. The first exercise can be calf raises. In other words, you stand with your feet on the ground, go up on your tiptoes, and lower back down. Keep doing this. It activates the soleus muscle, which is the calf muscle, and one of the most efficient at absorbing glucose. So, there are studies that show this contraction can reduce post-meal, postprandial blood sugar by up to 52%. You can do this for 5 to 10 minutes. You can do it while working, watching TV, using your phone, or studying. So, you can do this for 5 minutes or 10 minutes if you're in better shape after meals to further activate this muscle, which is so metabolically important. The second thing you can do is take a 10-minute walk. When I tell people to walk after lunch or dinner, they say, oh my God, but that's exercise. After lunch, after dinner, really? Walking can be done inside your house. Walk from the living room to the bedroom, from the bedroom to the living room for 10 minutes. Do it for 10-15 minutes. This is a classic and it's extremely effective. There was a study in the journal Diabetes Care that showed that 10 minutes of walking after lunch or dinner also significantly reduces postprandial or post-meal blood sugar. And walking, we know it activates large muscle groups. The legs, glutes, and even the abdomen, all of these help burn more glucose, help blood sugar control. There's also another strategy, one that requires a bit more control, in the sense that the person needs to be a little more disciplined and intentional with their routine, which is to do squats, like 10 squats every 45 minutes, intermittently throughout your day. There was this study done in 2022, the most recent study, where researchers compared 30 minutes of continuous walking with just 10 squats. A squat is when you lower yourself like this, as if you were going to sit in a chair and then stand up. Doing 10 of these exercises every 45 minutes throughout your day, the results showed that these intermittent squats were actually more effective at controlling blood sugar than walking continuously. So, small doses of movement are more effective than a longer period where you exercise and then sit for the rest of the day. So what researchers have found is that staying active throughout the day is more beneficial than doing just 30 minutes in the morning and then not exercising at all for the rest of the day, spending the whole day sitting, So this could be a more interesting option, especially if you're someone who doesn't have time to exercise or doesn't like physical activity. Doing 10 light squats without weights, just using your own body weight and repeating that 2 or 3 times in the following hours can be a good way for you to control this issue of post-meal blood sugar. Another thing you can and should do right after a meal is to tidy up your kitchen. It might seem a bit annoying, we get lazy and say, I'm just going to sit here for a bit and leave the dishes for later. But if you can, clean up right after lunch or dinner, because there have been continuous glucose monitoring tests that showed people who did these activities, like washing the dishes, putting them away, drying them, since you move your arms, put things up high, put things down low. And even those who did light activities, like folding clothes that were hanging on the line, or even just sweeping the floor a bit, since there's always a bit of rice or something from lunch that falls. So, doing these light activities, it's not about doing a deep clean, but studies have shown that people who do these activities have much smaller glucose spikes than those who just sit on the couch after lunch, sometimes watching TV. So, here is another very helpful tip for you to encourage the whole family to help tidy up the kitchen after your daily meals. Engaging in some light physical activity immediately after lunch, dinner, or especially after meals containing a lot of carbohydrates actually helps your body to absorb glucose much more efficiently and independently of insulin. This also gives your pancreas a break and improves your body's overall metabolic and inflammatory health. Tell me, which of these exercises are you going to try? I would love to see your comment. Remember to like the video, it really helps me out, and share it with someone you know will enjoy it, with anyone who needs these tips. Let's spread this chain of kindness. That's what I want here on the channel. See you next time. Bye.